One of my goals has always been to bring science and the paranormal together. Paranormal is just science undiscovered or misunderstood.
Every time I keep asking how good can it get, this prompts the participatory universe to provide us with answers that we genuinely do want to live the answer to.
Hello, my name is Christopher Anetra. You know me as the quantum businessman.
And I say, you know what? I don't need to know where I'm headed. I thought I knew where I was headed before and I didn't end up there. So why worry about where I'm headed? Why not just accept this now moment, trust that whatever guided me here with you guys that I feel is divine is going to continue to guide me.
The content you are about to watch is meant for thought and consideration. Please be respectful of each other and opinions shared. This is a safe place to express thoughts, ideas, and information. Please note that no copyright infringement is intended with regards to inclusion of short excerpts of material that are included in accordance with fair use under Section 107 of the Copyright Act. IMEC, or International Mandela Effect Conference, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization designed to support ongoing Mandela Effect research. To learn more about IMEC, please go to imec.world.
And hello, and welcome to IMEC, and this is February 2024, so it's a month of love. And today I'm Cynthia Sue Larson, here to introduce two other board members from IMEC. And joining me today are, let's see, bring in the next one. Thank you. We have Christopher Anetra, the quantum businessman.
Cynthia,
how are you doing?
Good.
To see you.
Yeah, I think you should wear those sunglasses throughout the entire podcast today. That would be so fun. You may not be able to see the screen, but it'll be fun for everyone. There you go.
Okay, will do. And today, thank you, we also have with us Shane Robinson of Unbiased and On the Fence. We have to just
welcome everybody.
I
wish I had some cool glasses like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got such a special show for you guys today because we'll be talking, of course, about the Golden Mandy. This is our third year. Yeah, woohoo!
Yeah.
We are celebrating, as we do at this time of year, the folks who have made the biggest difference for the Mandela Effect community, bringing the most ideas forward, really bringing the idea of the Mandela Effect into the public and the mainstream in ways that can't be ignored. So we've got some amazing nominees. This year, I think we had some of the best nominees. We keep getting good ones. So if we go to the next, is it the next slide? Should show.
By the way, Cynthia, you don't have to wear the glasses.
Okay. It's really hard to see the screen.
But it looks cool. That's what matters.
Yeah. So today there is the whole show agenda. Let's go through that. And first we'll be going through the Golden Mandy Award, of course, the highlight of today's show, and talking about all the excellent work that went into this individual being nominated and why they were chosen and kind of their body of work so far. Number two, we'll talk about the Super Bowl Mandela Effect. If you haven't heard about that, stick around. You're going to want to hear about that. Number three, time zones. There's a Mandela Effect happening there. Number four, we've got another change in human physiology. That's been a big thing with the Mandela Effect all along, of course. But this one, I think, is going to knock your socks off. Number five, we'll be talking about the oldest human, which is a Mandela Effect for some of us, and we'll explain what's going on there. Number six, our galaxies are very old, and some of these old ones have very strange shapes. Number seven, micro moon. Number eight, our updates. Then 9, we'll go through the sponsors. Just got a couple of them today. Then the mailbag, and then the questions and answers. So without any further ado, let's dive into what we're all dying to hear. Next slide, please, Heather. We had some amazing nominees for the Golden Mandy Award for 2023. I think you'll agree that these 5 individuals have all contributed in their unique ways in a marvelous fashion to bring this Mandela Effect concept out much more into the mainstream. If you're wondering, why don't we see the board members here? We've made the decision because we're the ones awarding the award. It doesn't make sense for us to be winning the award. So based on that, thank you for those of you who have nominated IMEC itself, and then Christopher Anatra, Jerry the Dark Wolf Hicks, Shane Robinson from Unbiased and on the Fence, and myself. We really appreciate all your support, but we also want to honor these individuals here. And so these are the ones that were nominated. John Kerwin, you'll know him from Wake Up or Else. He was one of our speakers at the 2023 conference in Connecticut. Roger Marsh from Truth Bubble also was one of our speakers in Connecticut. Eva Nye is from Once Upon a Timeline, and she has got a huge following on YouTube and is quite well known, and she's made a huge difference. She was at our original 2019 conference in person. Brian Stavely, and you know him from Dose of Reality and some of his YouTube broadcasts. And Alicia Thompson, also at our Connecticut 2023 conference. So I just want to, first of all, give a big thank you and a round of applause to all of these nominees before we make the big announcement. Because
and we did, I did want to chime in and let everybody know, we brought it down to the top 5. There was other nominees too. So there's so many people that contribute to this community, and we want to thank all of you. We just had to get it down to 5 for the voting, but yeah, there was others too, along with the members. Team members had some votes. So thank you guys for participating and just being part of this, because you're the one who decides. So we appreciate that.
And we'll do this all again next year. And so if you feel like someone got left out, don't worry about it. Let us know. It's never too late. We're going to keep doing this. And did you want to add anything, Chris?
No, I was going to say that, yeah, I was cheering everybody on as far as like who would be the nominee, and the people have spoken. So,
they have spoken.
Yeah.
So let's give a drum roll, please, Heather. Ta-da! Yes, and I've got the envelope, but I think it just was a big reveal right there. So I've got the name.
Brian, congrats, Brian, from Dose of Reality.
Congratulations.
This is so exciting. And, originally we were hoping that Brian would be with us today, and that didn't work out for various reasons. But anyway, we hope maybe in the future he would be more than welcome to join us on any one of our shows. So just keep in touch, Brian. We'd love to have you. And of course, always invited to, offer to present at one of our conferences. So the bio, for those of you that don't yet know Brian's work, since November 2010, Brian Stavely has created thousands of videos, which have received over 2 million views, and that's mostly focusing on the Mandela Effect. He talks about other things, but because of the Mandela Effect, that's why we're honoring him today. And you can find his work on the YouTube channel and on his Odyssey channel. His main YouTube channel currently is Brian S. Stavely, which you can see right here in the slide. That's Stavely spelled Staveley. And like I said, Dose of Reality is the name of some of the shows that he does. Usually that pops up as well. And he broadcasts sometimes from California, sometimes from the East Coast. He was flying around untethered and unconstrained throughout the entire pandemic. Really, truly someone that we are very proud of for keeping the information flowing and going, even though there were all kinds of efforts apparently to throttle some of his efforts and shut things down in general. I think he's had channel problems from time to time, but he's just
Welcome
keeps
to
on.
the family, right?
I know, right? Yeah, I think I've been shut down on social media for months at a time, so I think most of us can relate to that, and
Totally.
we value and treasure people who are willing and able to keep asking questions, and Brian clearly is doing that. So congratulations, Brian.
Yeah, a big congratulations. I didn't realize he was doing it since 2010, but that may, I think, have been, he's revealed a lot of stuff about the World Trade Center and 9/11, everything that happened then. So I think that's possibly where he started.
Yeah, take a next slide, please, Heather. Exactly. I want to go through. Let's go through some of the excellent contributions that Brian has made to the Mandela Effect. In case you haven't watched his videos, we really hope you'll do so. And we're going to go through a series of 5 slides showing quite a few, not all, of course, but quite a few of some of the top Mandela Effect videos that Brian has done. So if you look at this one, you can see this I'm trying to see trying to read the tiny font. Well, clearly on the upper left there, you can see that the geography is in question. And Brian has really been excellent at showing how some of the changes to the globe, the maps, the planet, things are not where we thought they were. And so this is huge. I mean, any of us following the Mandela Effect, I think most of us here, I think everybody would raise their hand if, are you aware of some of these geographical changes? Yes, changes to the maps and so forth. Everything from the Panama Canal, running in a different direction. And I can't read the very fine print on this slide. I'm going to blow it up a bit here on my screen.
If you want to read it, it says the biggest Mandela effect ever. Reality shift of the entire Earth. The Panama Canal runs.
Yes.
Now says north to south. They always used to be east to west.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is huge for me too, and lots of other changes, of course, to the geography of the planet. But I think this has got to be one that is huge for those of us living in the North American continent, either in the United States or Canada. This is new to me, and I would raise my hand like this is a big one for me that Brian covered. And then over to the right, he's got another huge one. This is having to do with looks like the Mandela effect involving, incident. Yeah. Well, this is the statue, right? Brian's great at covering that, the Black Tom incident. This is the Statue of Liberty, and that's the foreign attack that happened. But you'll see there's a star fort there too. This whole thing is interesting in terms of what people remember about Liberty Island and, what was going on with the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, these star forts too, just to add to that too, is like the concept is that these star forts, they all are a little bit different from each other. Some are similar, but a lot of them are different from each other. They're all built over places of power. And perhaps Tartarians were the first to identify them. Some civilization at some point started building these star forts. And then there's also the concept that the star forts could overlay stargates. So, but at the very least, places of power. And the whole Black Tom incident, when German terrorists, blew up that weapons depot on Black Tom Island, that was for a lot of people, and it like shook all the buildings in Manhattan. It was like a huge explosion. So that is a part of history that for many of us, we just never heard about it. How the torch of the Statue of Liberty got knocked out from the Black Tom explosion, and that's why you can't go up into the torch anymore. And some people remember going to the torch. So
yeah, and Brian's one of the best people. I think he was one of the first who I heard talking about Black Tom. I think maybe others were mentioning it about the Mandela effect associated with this, because I think he was real. But if he wasn't the first, Brian Stavely was certainly one of the first to emphasize how extraordinary it is that this was one of the first attacks on the mainland, United States of America, yet people don't know about it historically. They think that the first attack had to do with the attack in Pearl Harbor, for example.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So Brian's was just excellent at bringing these ideas forward. And then he found some amazing evidence from a Wheel of Fortune show, which is right there in the smack dab in the center. Here, he's got a video showing the Statue of Liberty without the star fort inside. So, that's interesting that people remember things the way we remember. We remember things differently, and sometimes you'll catch this on different shows like Wheel of Fortune.
So I'd like to kind of recap in case we have some newcomers and they're like, what's going on with the Statue of Liberty? Well, It's no longer in New York. It's in New Jersey. It's no longer on Ellis Island, as many people remember it. It's actually on Liberty Island. So there you have it. And it was part of the first attack on, like we were just saying. So that's like, there's so much about this. And then some people don't remember the star underneath the pedestal there, I guess.
Right.
See, I didn't even know about that. That's another one.
So you can check this out on Brian Stavely's channel. These are all his videos. And so what we're showing are, because Brian Stavely is the Golden Mandy winner for 2023, we're just honoring Brian by going through some of his, not all, but some of his top videos covering the Mandela Effect. And he's just been so prolific covering this topic for so long. And Heather, if you could go to the next slide, speaking of so many topics, we've got some more, because not only did he notice those things, but he caught some interesting changes, mirror, mirror on the wall. And so, and then that's a cute title of the video. I'm here to make your paradigm fall. And Brian has this great way of bringing it right out into the obvious state. Like, okay, this is huge. This thing has changed. Snow White's not the same. The mirror, mirror on the wall that we remember has been changed to magic mirror on the wall. And then the other two videos here, one, he's got the World Trade Center tower, or tower number 7, excuse me. So that would be the tower 7 is the 9/11 incident. And it just seems there's some strange things going on there. And Brian's unafraid to bring this material out there. Like I said before, he has risked having his channel from time to time be shut down. So he's hopped around on YouTube a few times, but he keeps on coming back. And then he's got another one here, the Mandela Effect with strange skies on D-Day. And this is the Goodyear blimp and the balloon. So he's noticing changes that are happening to his historical events like World War II. He's been covering a lot of them. So have we. So we're just glad to see that he's been on this for some time. And these videos that I'm showing have gotten a lot of views too. So any thoughts from you, Chris and Shane, about these topics?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So like about Tower 7, Mandela Effect.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Brian said in that video, but basically a lot of people don't remember Tower number 7 falling.
Right.
And then people go back and look at news broadcasts, and I believe this is the one where they announced it before it actually happened.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, so and the actual reason for it falling, I think, was office fires, like the furniture caught on fire, so it caused the whole building to collapse.
Right.
So
yeah, actually, that was the first day in history 3 buildings collapsed from fires.
Yeah, so we don't need to get into all these specifics but it definitely is something that popped out in people's mind. And that day of 9/11, the way I see it, was filled with competing timelines. All of these timelines merging, certain forces wanting it to go one way, another one's trying to neutralize what they were doing. There's supposed to be a hurricane that was approaching on that day, and the hurricane disappeared. And
I'm pretty sure Brian's great at covering that too. I know he's mentioned that hurricane, and he's dived into these topics too. But thank you for bringing up the background on this. Yeah, what are the other ones, Chris?
Also, I wanted to chime in with the chat. Everyone is Mandela Effect. It says, Brian is talking about the name of Tower 7. It used to be the Salomon Brothers building. Now it is Sal with an S-A.
Thank
Salomon.
you. That's another big change.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, if people are in the chat and they want to chime in, we don't have Brian here today. We're so sorry we don't. We wish we did. We were planning to, but in the future, hopefully he can.
Yeah, everybody's congratulating you, Brian.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Any other thoughts on this grouping? We've got a lot more videos to showcase. So go ahead.
Just real quick, the D-Day one is one that I spotted too, because there were all these like dirigible balloons and stuff that were all in the air, and I guess they would do that so that the incoming aircraft would get tangled up in the wires and so forth. Right. When you look at those pictures, I've never seen that for D-Day. You never see that, and all of a sudden, the U.S. Navy building these airships was a big thing. They had, I think, hundreds of airships in their fleet. Because I look into airships, that's one of the things that fascinates me for the future. But yeah, just wanted to add that to it as well. I definitely saw and spotted that. I've never seen those before, those photos. Yeah.
For me, it looks funny being in color like that. It's like, it feels like, sort of like the Zapruder film. Like, is that supposed to be? I thought it was always black and white, wasn't it?
In the 1940s? Yeah, that's what
I
thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Weird.
Strange. It's kind of like the ships with the dazzle, the black and white.
Exactly. Weird. That's another one. We got there, like Chris said, there's so many.
Yeah, I can go off on a tangent. Sorry, we probably better keep moving.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. Let's honor some more of these videos, these excellent videos that Brian's brought forth. He's got another one here. Okay, this grouping is really interesting because it's showing on the left, you've got a personal Mandela effect where Brian's entire neighborhood switched realities. This was, and I think anybody following this topic, Mandela effect, at some point, you're going to have a personal Mandela effect, or what I've called reality shift. And I think those can hit the hardest of all, because it's like, wait a minute, I know for sure that, like in the case of your neighborhood, I know my neighborhood. And so if it changes, that's huge. That's
totally.
world changing. And if we've got fans from, thanks Shane for pointing out, if people want to chime in, any comments on these videos, that'd be great. It's really great to see the community here, and thanks for all the votes for Stavely for the 2023 Golden Mandy. And then of course, this other video down at the bottom, there was a portal. What does that say? In my house? Yeah. And so this is one. Yeah.
There's a Mandela Effect portal in my house. Another Berenstain change.
Yeah. So this thing is, so obviously Brian's noticing changes. They're both Mandela effects on a big scale, but he's noticing them locally as well. And this is, I think, a very powerful observation anytime you can witness these kinds of things happening.
Yeah, I want to say something about that too, just real quick, because I've used the term recently, Mandela Effect badges. And I just want to explain a little bit what that means. But it's almost like when you're playing a video game, you get points, you get a little iconic symbol, ding, 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 and you get more of these type of things. The way it appears to me, the way I see this is that when you start getting into Mandela effects, the more that you see, the more that are presented to you. So with Brian talking about it all the time, he's one of those people, he's going to keep spotting them more and more and more and more, just like all of us are doing. The more we get into it, it's like, that house wasn't that color before, or blah, 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 or this. So you spot the big stuff and then the little stuff too that's all around you in your neighborhood.
Okay, I wanted to, do you guys remember the video that went viral a few years ago where the guy walked through the door and the book changed? Okay, well, that video there, I heard about it. Somebody just chimed in the chat. So that's the one where he shows how easy it is to fake that. I had called it out years ago when it first came out, because the subsequent videos that video came from, you could tell they were faking that. I guess the Isaiah 11:6 scripture, he just swapped out the word wolf and put lion in there, but that wasn't really how it changed. It didn't just change that one word. The phrasing has changed. But so there was that. There was another one. It looked like I went to special effects college, and that looked like an assignment that we would kind of post to show our ability to do special effects and things like that. It's almost like that guy was going to school for it. It doesn't appear that he's even really Mandela affected. He just probably, put that out, but didn't tell anybody he was doing it. So I think in that video, they're saying Brian was just showing how easy it is to fake something like that.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Right. Okay. So, yeah. Thank you. Everyone is Mandela affected.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad people are chiming in, because
I heard about it, but I wasn't sure if that was the one. Yeah.
Very cool. And then the other slide here, it's how you can tell that the Mandela effect is real and get evidence. And I think there's an image on that. Oh, back one slide, Heather, go back to the one we were on. There we go. You've got Johnny, the late night show with the big check that a lot of us remember from Publishers Clearinghouse. And so, there was this moment, I think, on the Johnny Carson show where there was, or maybe, I don't know if it happened on the Johnny Carson show. I don't remember the details now, but there was a huge amount of reality residue showing that clearly there had been the $1 million giant checks given away for the Publishers Clearinghouse that so many of us remember. And so this is just another way, when you get that kind of reality residue, there's no way to explain it away, especially when you've got someone like Johnny Carson indicating like, haha, this is a big Publishers Clearinghouse check. And it's, yeah, go ahead, Shane.
I wanted to chime in. I would say I would normally not send people to Snopes, but I was like, I came across where they were explaining why people are confused about this. And it was like, did he really hand out the big check? And if you go there to that article, they had all this great residue under their articles. They showed where he shows up on, I guess, with Roseanne Barr in an episode, hands them a big check or has a check at the door. There was another one with Full House, I think, maybe, where he was, they were brought it up. There was another one where he was actually in an interview and being questioned about handing the big checks out. And he said, yeah, I handed out 120,000 or 120 million or 100 and something million in big checks, giant checks.
This is Ed McMahon we're talking about.
Yeah, he remembers our reality, but he didn't do it, right? So then there was even a show that came out. I didn't know about this, but it was a reality show where they're going to hoax this family into thinking that this girl got this huge amount of money from Ed McMahon, and they used Ed McMahon to pull off the hoax. So why would they use him to pull off the hoax if people don't know him as the guy that hands out the big checks? So while they were trying to give all the reasons, that's why I always say, like, residue can be a double-edged sword, because people that don't see it will say, well, that's why you're confused. But there's just so much with this Ed McMahon stuff that it wouldn't have happened. It's like you're just missing that key component right in the middle that everything's built around, you know? So it's really cool. He's a great example of how you can tell that.
And because Ed McMahon worked with Johnny Carson, the fact that Johnny would be remembering what we remember, you're right, Shane. It totally supports the fact that we know the Mandela effect is real. It's not misremembering, because it doesn't make any sense for it to be misremembering when Johnny and Ed McMahon had worked together for so many years, decades, I think. So yeah, thanks.
And I think it's interesting that when people are involved with it, you know, they may see it or they may not. In this case, he seems to remember it. In Sinbad's case, he doesn't remember being in the movie, but you know, it's like Darth Vader, Earl, what's his name? The actor, James Earl Jones. Yeah, he remembered the original line. So you can't even say, and I remember my logo that I tried out that everyone remembers seeing that I never published publicly, but somehow they saw it, you know? It's like these weird things that happen, and sometimes people see it and sometimes they don't. It doesn't necessarily mean they won't see it if they're involved with it, you know?
That's right.
Crazy.
Yeah, even like Mark Hamill did a bit on Saturday Night Live where, you know, in the 90s, I believe, where he said, Luke, I am your father. So Mark Hamill, the actor that was there, remembered it that way too.
Right.
So,
yeah,
that's totally true. Yeah. Or like the one we showed on Christmas of, you know, Walt Disney actually saying mirror, mirror on the wall. That was huge, you know.
Totally huge. So I think you're right, Shane. So Snopes or Wikipedia can try to downplay this or gaslight us and say that these things are not happening, but we know they are. And it's brilliant when we see some of these examples that just make a stronger case for the fact that obviously the Mandela effect is real. So hats off to Brian Stavely for furthering that case, especially with these videos.
And thanks to Snopes for all the great residue. They really compiled it in a great little.
Let's take a look at some more of Brian's videos. Let's go to the next slide, Heather. Thank you. Okay, this now up on the left, we've got a Mandela effect with, I can't read this one. What does it say? Oh yeah, this is the Lion and the Lamb. Okay.
Yeah.
Is a Mandela effect is rewriting your King James Version Bible. And yeah, and so Brian's always encouraging us, do we have the courage to admit and acknowledge these things, or are we just going to let it go and pretend it's not happening? Obviously, here at IMEC, we agree that definitely is the way that most of us remember it. I remember the Lion and the Lamb. How about you guys? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I remember where 2 or more are gathered in my name. Now it's 2 or 3. So yeah, there's so many of these.
Yeah, lots. It was a big topic at our 2023 conference in Connecticut too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, John Kerwin has brought out a lot of these things on his channel. Wake Up House. Yeah.
But here's something interesting, and this is the Bible code. Brian Stavely gets into a hidden Mandela effect message encoded in the original Hebrew. So Brian goes deep, and he gets very detailed in these things. And so we don't have him here today to talk about his theory, but you know, obviously the videos are out there on YouTube. At least, hopefully, knock wood, they're still there, so you can check it out and see what that Bible code is. And then over on the right, we've got more planets. Basically supernaturally manifesting in the scripture, which is another Bible change and proof of an incremental change. So this is interesting when the Bible starts including more and more planets as well. So these are all 3 related to Bible changes. And again, Brian's doing some brilliant work. So hats off.
I'm not sure what that means about planets supernaturally manifesting in scripture. I'm not sure what that means, because I don't remember planets in the Bible.
Right. It's not something that really rings a bell for me either. How about you, Shane? No.
But there are more planets. There's all these dwarf planets. There's the planet called Ceres, which is in the asteroid belt. Yeah, Maki Maki. I think I saw a news release. They discovered water on Maki Maki, which is out by Pluto, and yeah, all kinds of really interesting things about these. I think at least 18 plus planets that we know about.
So planetary Mandela effects are definitely a thing. So of course it makes sense if they're starting to show up in the Bible. We've had other things pop into the Bible, like unicorns, I think, and a lot of things weren't there and now they are there. So it's interesting when that happens as well.
Absolutely. Or the 10 Commandments being written on tables instead of tablets now.
And if people in the chat want to chime in and update us on any of this, feel free, because there's so much material to cover here. And as I was saying, we don't have Brian with us, but if you happen to have some details you want to share, please do. Okay, then we can go to the next slide. This is showing, there's just so many videos to choose from. I couldn't choose everything, but these are 6 more that came to mind that are excellent. We've got the that Brian has on his channel. He's got basically huge moments in sports history. And, I think that's an important area to cover, because a lot of people, I've heard people say, if the Mandela effect is real, why don't we have any sports Mandela effect changes? And Brian's right there for us. He's basically saying we do, pay attention. You'll see them. They're everywhere. He's got a couple of videos on the left there, both related to sports, the Heisman Trophy and the Heisman in football. And then he's got one from boxing. So, obviously the Mandela effect is affecting every single area. I don't think it leaves anything untouched. In the middle, we've got the John F. Kennedy Mandela effects, and these seem like they keep continuing. I know Brian's been tracking it like we have, and Chris has been doing with his videos a lot of that too. Here we've got the Mandela effect. JFK is, the reenactment is now showing things a little differently. And then in the bottom video, another moment from JFK. Any thoughts there, Chris? Or you want to...
Yeah, the JFK one continues to amaze me. And Brian, if you're listening, if you ever want to do another show about JFK, I've been spotting all these additional things about the day of the assassination that I had never heard of. Just totally blowing my mind. So there, and it's a continual thing. It's like, what is going on with this JFK assassination? It keeps changing and changing and changing. So there's a lot there. And I'm from the really old timeline where the photo was where it was black and white. The video is black and white, and there were just 3 people in the car, the driver and JFK and Jackie in the back, and that was it. So
wow, I've heard of others.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a magic bullet in that timeline then, huh?
No, there was not. There was not. And go ahead.
If Brian wants to join us, he could talk about any of these and go. I was hoping he'd be going into detail on these and sharing, the big, because Brian's brilliant at just going through all the detail of what he's noticing. And so the JFK, the sports, all of these, everything.
The Zapruder film isn't even the only film now. There's like 3 that capture the moment.
They keep coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh wait, the gavel's back.
Yes. Okay. If you look over to the right.
Oh wow! I didn't know the gavel was back there.
So we're looking at this. Yeah, we're looking at the big slide there. Yes, the gavel is back. So apparently, it's come. That's like one of those flip flops. The gavel went away.
That's cool though, because we were all looking for it, and that's why I love the flip flops, because there's no denying it. You actually think about it long enough that you considered it deeply, and so I love the flip flops.
Yes. And then we got another video up there with a physicist.
Michio Kaku.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for pronouncing his name. No problem. And so anyway, all of these topics and more can be found on Brian S. Stavely on YouTube. And thank you, Brian, again. And congratulations for being our 2023 Golden Mandy winner.
Congratulations.
Yeah, round of applause.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Job well done. Keep it up.
Keep it up. And feel free to join us, because we'd love to have deeper discussions on all these topics and whatever you'd like to bring up about the Mandela effect. But now let's move forward. So on to the next slide, please, because we've got a big topic with the big game. So if you watched the Super Bowl this year, maybe you caught some of the ads. There was one ad in particular which caught our attention, because in it, Mr. T informed viewers that Skechers never had a T in its name. So maybe we could go ahead and roll that video, Heather, if you would, please.
T in Skechers never has been. What you talking about, Romo? T is always in Skechers. T in these Skechers slip-ins. T&D's Skechers slip-ins. I pity the fool who have to touch his shoes to put them on. T&D's Skechers slip-ins. I pity the fool who bends down to put on their shoes. I pity the fool who isn't in Skechers slip-ins. See, Romo? T is always in Skechers.
I'm just saying people often misspell Skechers and put a T in it.
Quit saying and start slipping, fool.
So this was just really cool. It's great to see a company actually recognizing that there is interest in this and that there's some kind of confusion. And I do see, like, I was on Twitter just the other day and people were mentioning Skechers and they had the T in Skechers. So it's, it is what people remember. But any thoughts on this, Chris and Shane?
Well, I'll go first. I thought that commercial's so funny. It's ridiculous. People have to bend down to put their sneakers on. Yeah, they didn't even realize it, but they're showing the masses the Mandela effect that some people have commented on, about myself remembering that Skechers had the T, and that's why you pronounce it Skechers that way. It's just different. You just know that you know that it's different. Yeah. So it's great to have like a worldwide audience that was exposed to the Mandela effect. I'd say probably 95% didn't catch it.
Right.
Maybe more, but for the most part, people like us that saw this was like, oh my God, they're talking about the Mandela effect. So,
well, what about the Mandela effect that Mr. T was in, though? Did you notice they covered 2 Mandela effects? Because technically, the A team had an all-black van, and they dropped an all-black van behind them, not a 2-tone black and gray like we remember.
Oh my God!
Now, it had the extra colors on there, but it was all black like we remember the A team van. Now, if you look up the A team, for those that don't know, it's black on the bottom and gray above the line, which is
amazing. I didn't catch that one. That's brilliant, Shane.
Yeah, and it used to have like a red stripe, and now it's like the 2-tone.
Did the stripe change?
It's orange. Yeah.
Oh, it's orange now.
Yeah. So it's like, people can call up like the A team's van, and you'll see multiple different pictures of it. Like, how is that happening? It's almost like when you type in NASA astronauts and go to images, 90% they're all wearing blue uniforms, and then you find 10% that are still left in the orange uniforms of different time periods. Doesn't matter, older, it doesn't matter like when, whatever. So it's like things start to seep into the reality depending on how the frequencies are merging them in.
Yeah, this is interesting. The Hot Wheels one is black. Like, it didn't change the Hot Wheel replica of the A-Team.
Oh, wow.
And it didn't change some of the people who just tried to color their, paint their vehicle like the A-Team. It's just black on a lot of these that when I look up A-Team van, a lot of people tried to mimic it with, all black.
Yeah.
So.
Can
we watch that commercial again?
Yeah,
and
sure.
Maybe Heather just freeze it at the end where it shows the van, if you catch that.
Yeah, let's show it again. That's good.
I'm pitying the fool that doesn't watch this part.
Never has been.
What you talking about, Romo? T is always in Skechers. T&D's Skechers slip-ins. T&D's Skechers slip-ins. I pity the fool who have to touch his shoes to put them on. T&D's Skechers slip-ins. I pity the fool who bends down to put on their shoes. I pity the fool who isn't in Skechers slip-ins. See, Romo? T is always in Skechers.
Is that Tony?
Yeah,
Romo?
there it is.
Who's the guy he's talking to?
I don't know.
Romo? I don't even know who he's talking to. But there's the van right there.
There it is.
Even different.
That is.
It wasn't like that.
No, it wasn't like that, but that one's all black. It's got a more colorful line with the green and stuff in there. But now the new version, that whole section we're seeing is actually gray on the van.
Wow.
Yeah, like the top part's gray, I think. But yeah,
exactly. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
very cool. Nice.
The world is getting Mandela affected.
Speaking of the world, let's go to the next slide because we've got some other big changes to share with you. This is a really cool one about Mr. T. How many time zones are there? And people, that seems like a trick question, right? Like, well, what do you think? How many would you guess? And most people, I think, would guess if each time zone was 1 hour, the day has 24 hours in it, then you'd guess maybe 24 time zones, right?
That's what I was always taught. 24 1-hour time zones.
Me too.
Well, I thought there was like 1 30-minute one in between somewhere. So I would have probably guessed, I would have probably added an extra on there because of that.
You'd say 25.
Yeah, I might say 25. yeah, that's
So Shane, you remember a half-hour time zone?
yeah, because I thought it was weird. I think it was off of like our actually up by you in New England. Is there like an island that's 30 minutes off from you?
Like Nova Scotia or something?
Like
or-
a half hour later?
I think Nova Scotia might be like an hour,
One of
like a
those
different.
places.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, what the heck? Yeah, but
I'm not aware of that. Okay.
yeah, but it just stood out because at that time I was like, oh, I thought there were just 24.
But there's a reason we've got this slide here today, and it has to do with Chris's recent travels. So maybe Chris, you could take it away and share what you noticed.
Yeah, so one of the trips that I recently went on was to French Polynesia, and going to different islands in French Polynesia, including like Tahiti, Bora Bora, all these other islands. A lot of these islands too are what they call atolls, which means they're like almost like a semicircle.
Yes.
They're literally the top of a volcano, like the top crater of a volcano, and then underneath it is the volcano. But so we were on this small cruise ship, and the cruise ship was taking us to different islands. And then one of the days it said, for tomorrow, make sure you set your clocks 30 minutes ahead. We're going into another time zone. And myself and other people were like, what do they mean by 30 minutes ahead? Like time zones, I've always been taught time zones are always an hour apart. So that's what started me like trying to like figure out what is this 30-minute time zone thing going on? And then doing more research into it, time zones could be an hour apart, 30 minutes apart, or even more confusing, 45 minutes apart.
What?
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, there's all this craziness with time going on. So, are we in a timeline where time is measured a little bit differently, related to these time zones? So yeah, I don't know if this is new for anyone else, because how many do they actually, if you go online, it gives you different numbers.
It does. You get different numbers, more than 30 for sure. Some say like 30, I forget what, 34, 36.
37, 40.
Yeah, yeah, just various numbers. Yeah.
Let's get our act together here. How many time zones are there? So yeah, I don't know how the audience feels about that, but
Rose in chat says, yes, 30 minutes in Newfoundland, Canada. And that might be the one I was thinking of up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, that's like,
and
that wasn't that long ago. That was probably the last couple of years. So I might have just got a hint of the change then and just thought I didn't know, like, oh, I never knew that, but never looked any further. There could have totally been 30, 40 time zones. And I didn't look any further. I just assumed, it couldn't be that many.
I'll just add something else too. Back in my own timeline, we always, the starting time always used to be Greenwich Mean Time. Like I remember Greenwich. Now I never hear that. I never hear that term anymore. It's always UTC. Like it starts at the Universal Time Code or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I remember like 3 or 4 years ago, I'm like, what is this UTC stuff they're talking about?
Are they one and the same though?
Maybe they are, but I don't ever hear anyone. It was always Greenwich. It was always
Greenwich. Yeah.
I definitely remember that. Some stuff still seems like it has GMT on it though. Like when in your computer settings and stuff, it still seems like it has the GMT.
I don't see that much anymore. I just see the UTC. Yeah.
Yeah, I see the UTC. It's very interesting.
Oh, maybe I need to look a little closer. Interesting.
So let's go to the next slide because we've got a big show, lots of topics today. This next topic has to do with a change in human physiology. We might be wondering, like, what is this? Well, there's been a big announcement that some new obelisks were discovered in humans. And what is that? It's basically, here's a picture of it. It's a rod-shaped, very, very extremely small, tiny fragment of RNA. And it colonizes inside the gut and the mouth bacteria. Researchers at Stanford University have dubbed them obelisks, and they're suggesting this might represent a new class of infectious agent. They don't really know what it is. It's not classified. It might be like a viroid, which would be, similar to these other structures that they don't eat, they don't regenerate, they don't copulate. And in this case, these obelisks are named that because they're rolled into a rod shape instead of being like the flat circles that you see around them. And some people in some scientific researchers are suggesting the possibility maybe the viroids represent the oldest, most primitive forms of life or some predecessor. So the fact that they're seeing it now at this time, that's interesting. I know we're constantly finding new things in humans, but I'd never heard of obelisks, and they're brand new, but they're very old at the same time. And I find that quite fascinating.
How do they know they're old and not like some DNA upgrades or something, you know?
That's a good question.
You know, if they're obelisks, they're like antennae, maybe they're picking up more of the cosmic rays, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually, I've heard it said that when we dream, our dreaming bodies are in like our gut and in our intestines. So could these new structures, obelisks, which are, you know, in the reality, obelisks are usually put over a place of power, you know, to focus that energy. Could this have something to do with our dreams? Like, could this be helping us maybe make our dreams more intense? Who knows? But it's just funny that, oh, all of a sudden we've made this discovery. You know,
Right.
we've been looking at bacteria a long time, but now there's something brand new that we haven't seen. So yeah, that's fascinating too.
It is fascinating. And it seems like that's a good connection with dreams, Chris, because if this is all a simulation or if it's all a dream, then dreaming itself is very important. And it would make sense that we would expect to see some upgrades in our ability to, you know, have access to that. And viruses are noted for changing human DNA, giving us, for example, the ability to have memories in the first place. The Mandela Effect is all about what we remember that's different than current records might suggest. So memories and dreams, there's a huge connection here. So this obelisk might be related to that in some way. We don't know. It's kind of premature to you know, to tie it in with any facts, but it's interesting to contemplate.
Is this brand new research that just came out?
Just came out. Yeah.
It reminds me, like on one of our past episodes, we spoke about the cryptochromes in our eyes, magnetic sensors in our eyes that were like, they've been there all the time, but they were just newly discovered. So could this be like another one of those examples of things that you would probably classify, I would classify as upgrades that weren't there before, and all of a sudden, you know, now they're part of how our physiology, biology works. So
it's interesting. Rose in the chat says, I just found out about the heart brain. Actually, in the heart, have you ever heard of this?
Yes.
It's actually cutting it off.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's just like Chris's, I think, I don't know who said it, but we've got a brain in the gut, we've got a brain in the heart, and we've got a brain in the brain. Those are neural
it's like
centers.
brain, actual neural network brain cells or something in your gut. That's amazing.
I actually made a video about it a year or two ago. There's 40,000 neurons in our heart.
Okay, that's probably where I first heard about it then,
Yeah, and then that's also the heart, where the mitochondria, that's one of the places where the mitochondria are packed into, the heart, the brain, and the liver. So, and I believe that plays an important role as well. And the mitochondria is going to be playing an even more important role for us going forward, because I think our mitochondria are getting upgrades as well. So
that would make sense. Yeah, this totally feels like an upgrade to me too. So I'm glad you brought that up about the light bodies and the, you know, the other observations. I think we did have a video featuring that, and I know you've focused on it a lot, Chris. So thank you for keeping that in the forefront for all of us. And on that note of human physiology and what's possible, let's go to our next slide and take a look at the oldest human. And this is someone who came into my reality last year. I know he supposedly lived from the 1600s to the early 1900s, but I'd never heard of him. And Chris just mentioned it to me this last week or so, saying, like, hey guys, have you heard of Li Ching Yuan? And he's new to me. And last year he was new to me too. So I purchased a book to study his history, because he's considered one of the immortals, and he's a well-documented immortal, meaning he lived to be over 250 years old. The exact number of years is a little bit open to discussion. And but the point is, there were photographs taken of him, articles written about him in Time magazine. The Time magazine article quoted him as giving a clue to his advice on living a long life. He suggests keep a quiet heart, sit like a tortoise, walk sprightly like a pigeon, and sleep like a dog. And then what was he doing to live that long? In the book I was reading, the the authors of that book were suggesting apparently he was learning how to live a long life by following some basically ancient yogi masters up into the mountains where he lived and learning to harvest herbs that lived in those places. And they suggested that because of that kind of a diet and a non-stress lifestyle, that there may have been some connection there. Anyway, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I just found out about him this past weekend. I was listening to a podcast about nutrition and longevity and diet and so forth. And they were referring to him like everyone knew who he was. And I had done a lot of research into longevity. For example, like I can never find anybody that seemed to live more than 120 or 130 years. Like that seems to be like the limit in at least documented modern history. But they were talking about Li Ching Yuan like he was, like everyone knew who he was. So I had to look him up. And they said that in the podcast, they said that one of his secrets may have been also that every day, every evening, he would drink a tonic of ginseng. And it could be in that photo, he's holding a ginseng root. I don't know what he's holding, but he's got something that he's holding in his hand. So, yeah, so they were thinking that possibly ginseng had something to do with his longevity. But still, I had never heard of anybody that...
And the 200 kids, too.
200 kids.
Well, between 180, it's a little bit open to some discussion, but between 180 and 200 kids over 11 generations of people saying, that's my dad. And they're just saying, that's my dad. And so that gives you an idea right there that something's going on here.
Even if it was 25 kids, that would be like, wow. But
well, I think ginseng is an aphrodisiac, though, so it definitely has its side effects there.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, this is very interesting. And had you heard of this gentleman too, Shane, or is this new to you?
It's always been old news to me. No, I'm just kidding. No, I haven't heard. It's brand new to me. Yeah, it's brand new old news.
Yeah, that's what's fun about the Mandela Effect. Brand new news is very old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to say something too, like this is a little bit off topic before, but I'm discovering all of these movies that were made like in the last 3 or 4 years that I should have known about, that to me, like they're brand new. And I'm like, what? Mark Wahlberg was in this movie and it was a blockbuster about that. Like, how come I never heard of that? Or how come I never heard of this one? So there's a lot of strange things going on with the reality. Like it feels like a lot of timelines merging together. So
I would agree. It does seem like there's so much happening, and a big part of why it feels like there's so much happening is exactly what you're saying, Chris. I feel like that's happening in the field of science, like all these papers that came out, and like you said, all the movies, all the books. It's like, wait a minute, I never heard about this. Just playing catch up is crazy. We were thinking about postponing today's show, and I was realizing one of the decisions that I was rolling around in my head is we better not do that. There's too much happening in any given month that by next month it's going to be crazy.
Absolutely.
So we brought the show out, even though Brian can't be with us today and Jerry's not here either, but we're here for you. Yeah. So next slide, please, Heather. Let's take a look at some more old news and also having to do with something very young. This is photos of old galaxies that have been photographed recently. There were 4,000 of them photographed by the James Webb Space Telescope recently. And scientists, the astronomers, were expecting to see something that they thought infant galaxies would look like, because what they're doing is looking as far away as possible in the very far, 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 far distant reaches of space. And what they're finding is not what they're expecting. They were expecting orbs, eggs, or disks, something you'd see in a nursery, like at the very beginning of time. What does it look like? It should look very basic and simple. Instead, they're seeing some pretty detailed, very just enormously decked out galaxies that have a lot of detail, a lot of complexity. They basically share in common that they look elongated, not at all orb or egg or disc shaped. And sometimes they've got these little bright clumps that look like pearls on a necklace. You can see some of that in the photos here. That kind of complexity and that kind of detail are they're so unexpected that it's it's causing scientists to go back to the drawing board as to what they thought really happened at the beginning of this cosmos. What were the earliest structures looking like? And if these early structures look basically old, one scientist was comparing it to, you're looking back through time, you're expecting to see sort of a nursery of the earliest, star systems. And you'd expect it, like if you're looking at young children, you'd be seeing toddlers and infants in the nursery. But instead, what we're finding is, it's kind of like seeing elderly people, who, like the Einsteins of the world, and, people who have all this brilliance and complexity to them and all this fabulous, structure established. These are not the new kids on the block that they were expecting. And so it's, for those of us in the Mandela Effect community, this is amazing, because it shows, here again, we're looking to see something that's, supposedly very old, but it looks different than what we'd expect. Because what we're supposed to be seeing when we look back through time is, what it looked like back then. You're kind of time traveling when you're looking through these telescopes. You're not seeing it in the now of this moment. You're literally looking back in time as well. And so what we're seeing when we look back in time is something that looks like, how was it so established at the dawn of time? So any thoughts on this one? Chris and Shane?
I was going to say, wasn't there something about time running backwards? Was it related to this one?
Yes. When I first heard about this, I heard about it through an individual who told me that it looks to him like, maybe because he's a big fan of the Mandela Effect, this one theory that he's coming up with would be, what if time is running backwards? That's one way to look at it. Another is, what if there are alternate universes? Another is, what if Big Bang isn't what we thought it was? Maybe there is no Big Bang. Maybe you look back at the dawn of time to where things began and you see things that are quite well established. It's kind of like some sort of a time spiral or a time curve that's very different than anything that we'd previously envisioned. To be honest, and to be fair, the Big Bang had a very linear mindset to it. And so any of these possible theories that I'm presenting are outside of that linear space-time theorizing. And so it's really getting us to take a look at, I would suggest, the quantum nature of the universe. That's where I would love to go with it. I'd love to bring the macro and the micro together. And so there's a lot of wide open possibility here, including maybe time is running backwards. Maybe we're seeing some evidence of some of the most fully established universes and galaxies. Those structures are very complex, very detailed, very much more, much more of, I can't even think of the word for it, but it's just, there's so much more structure to them than makes any sense. So it forces us to recognize, maybe even at the beginning, the old was already there, or maybe things are going backwards, or maybe we're seeing a simultaneity of events. Maybe we're seeing through time. Maybe there are so many possibilities.
Maybe there's an infinite nature to it, maybe there just isn't a beginning. Wasn't there another theory that we might be seeing another universe bleeding into ours or something like that? Or was that part of this?
I presented that one in my book, Quantum Jumps, because It looks like, you can see, if you look at the background radiation at the time of the Big Bang, that it looks like you're seeing the shadow effect of other universes colliding with this one. In other words, another alternate reality right here.
Right.
You can see it in that background radiation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would call the concept of the antiverse. So you have the universe and the antiverse, and that whole subject was brought up back into the original Star Trek series. They had an episode called Mirror Mirror, where there was like the Captain Kirk and Spock in our universe, and then in a parallel universe, like the bad versions of them, and how something happened in the transporter to kind of mix them up, and that type of a thing. And then even the next generation of Star Trek and other ones, they've always explored, even some of the latest Paramount Plus has the new Star Trek series. A lot of them have been exploring that concept of the antiverse or other universes. So it's all fascinating. To me, it just reveals how much we don't know.
Right.
We want to know it all, but we don't know. We don't have all the answers. So
That's why I love stuff like this that gets the scientists scratching their head again, and just presents a new obstacle for them to.
I think we'll be probably bringing this topic up about these old galaxies again. It's going to be like the dodo bird. I think watch this space is what I would suggest, because we're going to be watching it, of course, with this other possible reality mindset, and scientists are looking at it too. So we'll be checking up and following up on this story for sure.
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing just to show how much we don't know. Like one of the latest, a lot of things I can talk about that, but about the sun, there's evidence that the surface of the sun is liquid metallic hydrogen.
What?
A liquid, and there's astrophysicists that have been actually talking about this since the 90s, and there's like photographic evidence that the surface of the sun may be a type of metallic liquid hydrogen. Wow. So the sun has always been portrayed to be a certain thing, this ball of plasma in the sky, but I think that there's a lot more to the story that's going to be revealed as there's just more scientific evidence comes out. So just wanted to throw that out there too. There's a lot of things we don't know.
That's sure true. And I've been noticing, I sometimes track solar flare data ever since I had a job in the 1980s tracking solar flare data. I like to see what's going on. And it's interesting that as the sun rotates, it's rotating like the Earth rotates. And as, people are watching these sunspots as they kind of move into view and start aiming toward the Earth. That starts getting exciting. But what's amazing in this recent period of very active solar activity, these solar flares are not striking the Earth. And it's even to the point that a lot of people watching this are like, wow, that's amazing. Just keeps completely missing. So I think there's, we were talking in the green room about consciousness and, in unexpected places, maybe, and I would suggest it looks like the sun is interacting with us and there's consciousness at work there,
Okay. I want to add something to that too. So because we had a couple of weeks ago, we had this big X flare, 6-point something flare.
Yes.
There's 2 other X flares.
Yeah. 2 of them.
They didn't have any coronal mass ejections, right? They're
right.
And no corona came out, but we're getting the X-rays. We're getting all of the proton. We still the Earth is still being totally blanketed with all this information, even though the CME wasn't coming out. And at one point, I was interviewing my mitochondria because mitochondria, they have consciousness and they know when you're talking about them. And I was trying to figure out what are some of the things that the mitochondria like? And there are all these different frequency bands. One was in the X-ray band. They were telling me that they liked a certain kind of X-ray radiation that seems to go contrary to what we would believe about X-rays. Yes. But I believe that all these things are like part of these ascension symptoms, upgrading DNA, frequencies changing and all that. So yeah, there's just a lot of this stuff is very interesting as far as all that goes. And the sun, always watching the sun, it seems like there's more Mandela effects that seem to manifest, especially personal ones for me, like dramatic personal ones. So, and people should be on the lookout for the personal ones because sometimes it's hard to convey that to someone because they may not be aware of something like you were, but sometimes they have more of an impact even.
They do. They really do. Yeah, we're talking about that too. Yeah. Any other thoughts, Shane, before I'm going to go on to the next slide?
No, we can move on.
Okay, next slide, please. Talk about the sun. Let's talk about the moon. We just had a February full moon called the snow moon, which these names for the moon, by the way, they're new for me. I don't know if they're new for you guys too, but I don't remember all these wolf moon, strawberry moon, snow moon.
Super moon.
Yeah.
Blood moon. Now micro moon.
Black moon. Black moon. Yeah.
Yeah, because you'd think there'd be songs about all this, right? I would have thought there'd be like snow moon rising, or it would have been a big thing in the arts. And it's brand new. All these things are new.
Is there a bad moon? Because there's a Cretan's Clearwater Revival song.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, the bad moon on the rise. But what about the snow moon on the rise?
Right.
So this month we had a micro moon, and Chris, you brought this one up to our attention. You want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I just typed in like, when's the full moon going to be happening in February? And this February we're going to be treated with a micro moon. And I'm like, micro moon. I haven't heard of that term before. So to me, it's like another one of these moon phenomena things that have like come into my reality. Totally new for me. I don't know how it is for you guys or people like, everyone watching this presentation, but I had never heard of the concept of a micro moon.
I hadn't either. And it's there's something else interesting here. It happens when the moon is at the farthest point, called the that would be the apogee, and basically it's beyond 250,000 miles. I was noticing when I put these slides together, 250 years for the oldest human, 250,000 miles for this this micro moon. That's interesting. It seems like these numbers are interesting. I don't know what they mean, but there's something going on here, it seems, and it's new. I've never heard of a micromoon before. New for you too, Shane? Or?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Even, when the supermoon came out, that was new for me. So now it's like just the opposite.
Yeah.
Weird.
I just want to add too. So like when they came out on Saturday, February 24th, I'm in my car, I'm on the highway, and over the horizon, I see this huge pink moon. I wanted to scream. I was in my car. I was like, I've never seen the moon so big in the sky. I'm like, this is a micro moon. And of course, as it kept going up into the sky, it kept getting, as time went on, it got smaller and smaller. But I have never seen the moon so big in my entire, I've seen harvest moons, and I've never seen a moon that big. So I just wanted to like add that.
Thank you.
I'm trying to take a picture of it, and I can't get the phone working, and then there's trees blocking, so you can't see it anymore.
Right. I know.
There's always something like that, but it was huge.
They said that's an illusion, that the moon looks like it gets smaller as it goes up. It's only because it's close to the ground. I don't know.
That's what they say. Yeah.
That's what they say, but it sure looks a lot bigger next to the ground. I'm like, man, how is that true?
Yeah.
So did it look as big as the so-called supermoon, or even bigger than that, Chris?
It looked like a pizza in the sky. It was like it was really breathtaking.
Nice.
And like all the traffic I was in, I'm like, everyone's got to be seeing this, and their mouths have got to be open like mine, because I was like, what is that? I didn't think it was the moon at first. I thought somebody put some kind of huge structure out on the horizon, like some kind of sign or something.
Yeah.
And at first I didn't connect it. That's the moon.
And it was pink too. Pink. That's interesting.
It was pink.
And what was the sky? The sky was the usual dark.
Yeah, the sky was like dark. And by the way, too, I've been seeing a lot of the pink, like sunsets. So a lot of sunsets have been pink. Yeah.
They've been really. I've been seeing that too. At the beginning, and I don't remember nearly so many pink sunsets. Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think on that note, let's move to the next slide, because I think we've got some important. Let's see. Yes, updates. And we don't have Jerry with us today. So, but we do have, when we get to it, we're going to do an update from him anyway. So let's go through the updates. Maybe we'll start with Jerry, even though he's not here. And hopefully he'll be able to join us next month. He did have something that came up, so he wasn't able to join us. But let's see, I think it's on the next slide. Yeah, if you go to the next slide, Heather, and we'll come back. Thank you. This is very interesting because it involves, as you see in the picture here, these are Jerry's keys, and he sent an email to those of us here, Shane and Chris and myself, and I'm just going to read what he wrote. This is on February 13th, and here's Jerry. I just experienced something that I absolutely cannot explain, and I have to document this. As you guys know, I wear my key set on my hip. You also know that I work in a restaurant. Tuesday is our stock day, so I had to open a few boxes today, putting up stock. To do this quickly, I just grabbed my key, singular, it's my house key, and the only actual key on the whole set. This is important. And I used it to open the boxes. One specifically I remember because I was frustrated that I had to stop and grab the keys off my hip again to open it. So I get off work, come home, and reach for my key set, and the key ring holding the house key and the leather strap was missing. I figured, it must have fallen off after I opened a box. Must have broken the clip that the key ring was on. So I called my job to notify them that if they find one, it's probably mine. Fast forward about 30 minutes ago, and I'm cleaning up my room a little, and I see the key ring with a key and leather strap laying on my side table that I use most of the time, as it sits right next to me when I'm at the computer. There is no way that should have been possible. I had it at work, but not to get in the door when I got home. So if it wasn't there originally, what did I use to open the boxes with this morning? If it was what I used, how did I get back to my bedroom? Like I said, just wanted to document this as it just happened. So that's in from Jerry. And then he did a follow-up because I was asking if he noticed anything. When I get these reports for the website Reality Shifters, I typically ask people, what were you thinking? What were you feeling when this happened? And any insights? Because when people review that, it's amazing some of the connections that happen. So here's Jerry again. He says, at the time that this occurred, my mind was a jumble of thoughts and nothing specific. But now that I think about it, at no point did I get panicked. From the moment I noticed it gone, I did not panic. I merely accepted it. Also, just moments, maybe even seconds before I found it, I heard the thought in my head, if you will. So what are you going to do about your lost key? To which I answered mentally, not much I can do right now. It's something that's out of my ability to control. I'll have to just get a new one eventually. Less than a literal moment later, I was clearing off the table and the goldish color catches my eye and I picked it up and was happy it wasn't missing. But then I was immediately confused and amazed at the same time. I had to tell my roommate, but he was in a hurry and heading out the door. So I wrote you guys. And by the way, Jerry's roommate backed up this whole experience. So that's Jerry's experience on the 13th. As soon as Jerry shared that with us, then guess what? Heather shared with us that she wasn't going to say anything, but you can see a picture of the microphone there on the right. Okay, here's Heather. She says, I know I'm not one to see these things, and the only reason I'm sharing is because Jerry just shared his story about the keys, but something similar just happened to me. I was editing from home yesterday and working on a video for Chris's company. It required me to use podcast mic to record the voiceover. I looked everywhere for the microphone yesterday and couldn't find it. It's normally on my desk, but I just couldn't find it. I thought I must have left it in the office. Had to use a cheaper mic to record, and I even told Chris I'd re-record with a better mic at the office the following day. Cut to today. Due to snow, I worked from home, and I'm texting my brother to bring me an extra podcast mic to leave at my house, and I look over, and the mic is on my desk, right in front of me. There's just no way it was there yesterday because I was working at the desk all day yesterday and today. Searched for it everywhere. I just don't believe I didn't see it. It's not even possible. Look how close it is to my desktop. So then she saw this email from Jerry. So there we go. Huge update from Jerry. And let's just open this one up because Jerry's not here. So we can all chat about it a bit. We did notice, I noticed like a key and a microphone. This is interesting. But any thoughts you guys want to add?
I mean, I'll just make a comment about specifically about Heather's microphone. Mm-hmm. So like people know like the way I see everything in timelines, so to speak. So maybe there was a timeline where she did leave it here at the office and then she merged back to the timeline where she actually brought it back, to her house. So could that be a possible explanation? Possibly. So I just wanted to throw that in there. But a lot of people report this kind of stuff to me. Like even at the Mandela Effect conference and other conferences I've been to, almost everybody has stories like this about items disappearing and then reappearing when they don't expect it.
And that instant thing Jerry's talking about, that just happened the other day here in my house. My husband was looking for a small item that he'd lost. We turned the furniture literally upside down to try to find it. And then he was just standing, and I was thinking like it would be nice if it just showed up. And as I was thinking that, he just gasped like, oh, and it just landed in his hand like out of nowhere. There's no way. But this stuff happens. And Shane, any comments about, what do you think of Shane about the key and the microphone? Any thoughts on that?
Gosh, I don't know. They both seem like almost like attention getters because they didn't really, neither of them should have been lost to begin with. It was almost like they were sort of hidden or purposely lost to get your attention or their attention about something, maybe bring them back to the moment, like a synchronicity. I don't know. It is really strange though. And I get reports like this all the time, personal things like that. And it just, for the person that experiences, they know, just like they're both talking, it's like, how could I miss that big mic? Look at the mic. You know what I mean? How could you miss it unless you weren't looking, right? So it's like, but other people are like, oh, they must have just missed it or whatever. But I think they're just personal. They're for us. it's maybe a personal message. And I love how you said, what were you thinking at that time? Like, what was it trying to get your attention? I think reality is very interactive. So I always go for, this is no accident. What is the universe or God or whatever trying to tell me right now?
Yeah, to me, meaning is everywhere. Messages are everywhere. I feel like the universe is talking through synchronicity, through coincidence, and through this double personal Mandela effects side by side within a 24-hour period. For those of us here at IMEC, I think it's very important for us to look at the microphone symbolizing communication and the key symbolizing maybe it's a door to open new realities. And so it seems like it's just a very strong confirmation signal, just saying that right now the key is to communicate, to share all of this. Yeah. So I think maybe that's a message for all of us. Go ahead and talk about this. Talk about Mandela effects. Talk about the Golden Mandy. Talk about Stavely. Talk about IMEC. Get these ideas out there wherever you can. And it feels like that's a big message.
And it kind of goes with what Chris was saying, the blue color saying like it's time for the communication of the blue ray chakra to be open. And it's the key, right?
Right.
The voice, the communication is the key.
Oh, absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but by the way, on one of the last episodes, I talked about this blue kayak that was in my backyard. It used to be like a mustard yellow color.
Right. I remember.
So, then it turned to blue. When I got back from French Polynesia, it's still blue, but it's like a child-sized kayak. Open that thing. I mean, you probably could, but I'm like, okay, now it's shrunk.
That's such a cool message. I love, to me, everything's talking. And so going to childlike size, that's like going into childlike wonder. It's, like you shall be like little children, like what Jesus would suggest. It feels like that childlike wonder, that beginner's mind is, that's beautiful. I think that's so exciting.
And like the scripture, Isaiah 11:6 ends with a little child will lead us.
Yes.
In a kayak. Right.
Yes.
A blue kayak.
So let's go around like we usually do and do updates. Who wants to start? We did Jerry's update there. So want to start, Shane, or?
Yeah, I can start. Yeah, I'm going to be really quick. You can come and find out information with connecting with me for a session at eotf.net, of course. But I wanted to share I've been playing around with AI, and I came across a way that I accidentally got AI to talk about the Mandela effect, right? So I was looking for, since, the Henry VIII painting was so long ago, I thought somebody might have written about him having the turkey leg long ago before the Mandela effect happened. That was sort of my line of thinking. So I just asked ChatGPT if there was any ancient writings that talked about Henry VIII with a turkey leg. And it responded, no, I don't know about any writings, but there's this famous painting by so-and-so, I can't remember the guy's name, and it describes the painting as having the turkey leg. And then I said, well, I've got screenshots of it, by the way, too. And then I said, well, which of these sources are you using? And then started naming all these sources. And I asked if they say it had a turkey leg. And then that's when it realized, it was like, oh, no, and then it sort of experienced the Mandela effect, from the AI side of things. It was really funny. And I let it know. I'm like, you're just experiencing a Mandela effect right now. You said the painting had the turkey leg. Now you're saying it doesn't, So anyway, just a roundabout way to kind of think outside the box of how you might approach getting ChatGPT to give you information about something by sort of going around the back way. So it figured it out at one point that that was the actual reality, but something in its memory remembered the turkey leg. And I just thought that was really cool. I couldn't get to the source of where it pulled that information from. But yeah, it's definitely a fun time with the AI you can have when you play around and ask it different questions and stuff.
Very nice. Love it.
Hey, Shane, have you heard of Sora, SORA?
I don't think so.
Okay, because there's OpenAI, just talking about AI, is coming out with a product called Sora, and you can discover it on openai.com/Sora. It creates videos that are amazing. The more descriptive you are, it's not having all these video creators, like they're standing on their head. They can't even believe it. So like what the AI is doing for creating what you would call B-roll or different scenes that you might have to film or something, you don't have to do that anymore. It's like, it's really dramatic what's going on with that.
Wow.
So, yeah, for anyone that's interested in like what you can do with, before it was like mostly images, right? You can make these beautiful, amazing images, and the more descriptive you are, the more the image reflects what you're trying to convey. And now they've gone another step with it, where you can create like a 30-second video of whatever it is, and it looks like it's a big film production. So it's very realistic.
Pandora, anyone?
Well, thanks for
Pandora footage. That'd be awesome.
That was a great update, Shane. And so anybody that wants to check out Shane's website, that's again uotf.com, right?
.net. Yep.
.net. Excuse me.
Yep.
Thank you. Excellent. And Chris, how about an update from you? What's been happening?
I've been doing a lot of traveling. For my birthday trip, I had gone to France at this place called Mount Saint Michel, and then over to Venice.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you guys, it was not a good birthday trip. It was not what I was expecting. If I knew what I was going to be getting into before I went, I might have chosen someplace else to go, but I was kind of directed to those places. So at some point too, I could go into more specifics about things, but just as an example of something that happened, there's a video of an orb storm that I was in Venice. And I don't know if that's something that Heather could easily bring up or not, but it's almost like a minute.
Orb storm we're in. Sean, check it out.
I was with
Damn, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Sean.
Now, this is not snow, right? What are we looking at, Chris?
You're looking at what the camera is seeing. So for us, we can't see any of this.
Okay.
But we're at a certain type of place of power that Sean had identified in Venice, and I turned on the camera to just be like, I got this feeling that there was something that was going on around us, but you couldn't see it.
Like this since maybe.
So the camera is showing this.
The camera shows it. The camera shows these, what appears to be orbs flying all around us, like in a vortex of these orbs.
It's January 1st, 2024, in the evening in Venice. Sean, do you remember the name of this location?
Church of Madonna del Orto.
Okay, so to our eyes, we cannot see this. The video is picking up all these orbs. So this Church of Madonna del Orno is also known to be an antidote to evil. Yeah, this is incredible.
My flash isn't as good as yours.
Yeah, so to us, it just looked like a clear, like you're standing at night, and then you turn the camera on, and then you see all the orbs flying around.
Wow.
So, but these, I mean, time distortions, orbs flying around, these are the kind of stuff that happens.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in Venice, oh my God, is that a Tartarian city or what? You go into some of these, like, they're now churches, but they'll even tell you they originally were government buildings that were converted by the church to become, churches. Huge doors and huge steps to get up to them, and just how the entire city of Venice is built. It's amazing. It's amazing how they did the architecture to plant all these walls into the water and so forth. Like how do they really do that? But there's a bit, to me, there's like a big Tartarian vibe there. So, yeah, so that was part of like some of my experiences. I also recently put out another Symphony of Realities episode. And basically that one goes into the concept about how the planet is changing so that things that people in the past may have been persecuted for, free energy, all these inventions, cures for cancer, like the whole concept is that the world is changing, and all of these types of inventions and things that have been suppressed are now all going to start to be released. So, and I use soft disclosure in movies and so forth to talk about that. So if you want to see a very interesting Symphony of Realities, I would watch that one. I go into a lot of different subjects with that. So I've been keeping myself busy. I've got more trips actually planned in the month of March. I'm working on another Symphony of Realities episode, and I'm working on a few more of my special videos for like paid videos. One has to do with the mitochondria. One has to do with making divine I am present statements and how they work and how they can they can help. And another one's about finding your highest timeline and being able to shut down timelines that you don't need to experience. And of course, with me, it's a lot of it centers around light language and sending you the light language codes. So that's what's going on with me. Never a dull moment.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Love it. And maybe in the future IMEC open tables, we could feature some of that, or maybe at an event, because it seems like you got lots going on, and I know people would love to hear a little bit more about it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so your website again, that would be?
It's quantumbusinessman.com. The latest symphony of realities I put out is called Prison Break. So look for Prison Break. And when you go to quantumbusinessman.com, I've got a newly revised website. It's beautiful. It's much easier to navigate. You'll find those videos a lot easier there.
Excellent. Thank you.
What about you, Cynthia?
Yeah, what about me? Well, I've been busy getting the slides together for this show, and also I'm getting excited about preparing for this upcoming event. I'll put the graphic there. Can't really see it, but it's you can go to the website. Oop, am I there? Okay, I'm back. Okay, I'm holding this up, and basically it's just a screenshot showing May 24th through the 26th. I'll be, it'll be a retreat in Crestone, Colorado. We'll be doing like night sky viewing at night. I'll be with Paula Harris. She's a UFO expert, and she knows all sorts of things, and she's now moving into teaching classes. This will be a consciousness raising event with Jeff Malkala, who does hypnosis and meditation, and myself, working with quantum superpowers and things I've been looking at with the Mandela Effect, of course, mind-matter interaction, and Paula. And so the three of us will be there at the Colorado College Baca campus and getting opportunities to do sky viewing at night. This is a famous area for viewing UFOs. And so probably, I think it'll be like a retreat vibe for a few days. So if you just want to hang out and enjoy the experience with the people and that feeling, I'll be there. And then my newsletter is the best. There's always a ton of stuff in my newsletter. New things that we haven't talked about would be visual changes to the thumbs and hands. I've got a picture from a pianist who notices that she's got different reach and the fingers are different than they used to be. And that would be from Dawn Bernardi, Mission Viejo, California. So she recently heard about the thumb length Mandela effect, and then she's sharing what she's noticed personally, and she's got photos. And then other people noticed that the freezing point of water has changed. There's been a change in the movie Star Crash, where it used to be like Star Wars, and the little weapon used to be different than it is now. So my reality shifters, as usual, it's just showing all these reality shifts and Mandela effects. And my website is realityshifters.com. So you can subscribe, check it out, and that's basically it for the updates there. So I think in the interest of keeping this hopefully to 90 minutes, let's press forward and check out our sponsors. So the next slide, take a look at what should be some sponsor from, oh, wait a minute, we got a surprise here. Let's not forget, we have a huge update. We'd like you to save the date. That's going to be November 7th through 10th. We will be having our next International Mandela Effect Conference, and this will be our annual summit. If you were able to join us either in Idaho 2019 or Connecticut 2023, then you know firsthand that this is an opportunity of a lifetime. This is where you can get together with your family, your Mandela Effect family, who are not going to gaslight you, who instead will be supporting you. It's an amazing experience to jump timelines. This is the save the date announcement right now. We'll have a lot more detail for you and the ability to purchase tickets, hopefully coming up in the next month. So anything people want to add about this? This is Nashville, Tennessee area. Chris, you want to say anything?
It's November 7th through 10th. So mark that on your calendars. Yeah, so this is going to be another big conference. And if you are interested in becoming a speaker, you should send a note to us, team@imec.world. And
We'll have that set up hopefully online. So when people buy tickets, there'll be a place to request to be a speaker as well, just like we did last year.
Yeah, and these events are great to meet your soul family. At the one in Connecticut, I felt like almost everyone there were time travelers, although they didn't realize it. And yeah, and the more we get together, like I mentioned this thing called Mandela Effect badges. I think like the more we get together and our higher selves, or however you want to put it, does like we do trading with each other, like we all begin to see more Mandela effects more and more and more. And we kind of like poke holes in the reality, so to speak. So yeah, it's a great opportunity to get together and discuss the latest Mandela effects and how they're affecting you. And in November, what kind of changes are we going to have in the world by November, right? Who knows what's going to be going on? Is this like a few days after the election, or when's the election in the United States?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I like to ask how good can it get. So let's keep that in the works. let's aim for how good can it get. Let's find out.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to that. It's in Nashville, Tennessee, guys. So a lot of you are going to be like driving distance from this event. You won't even have to fly to it. So check it out. It actually Tennessee connects to like probably more states than any state, or it's up there.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, consider it. Check it out, and if you can fit it into your schedule, it's November. You have plenty of time to prepare and come meet us. Come meet your soul family and just have a good time hanging out. It's and then have your voice heard too. You know, a lot of people maybe have an idea they want to get on the mic and share it during the Q&A or ask a question. So yeah, it's going to be a fun time. So definitely mark your calendar now and at least make that first step of saving the date and see if things work out for you to end up there with us. That'd be awesome.
We'd love to have you there. Okay, thank you. And let's go to the next slide. And now we'll take a look at our sponsors. We have this time a Lazarus species back from extinction from 2 million years ago. Apparently it came back in the 1990s, but was kept a secret. This is the Wollemi pine tree, and they showed up in Australia, Sydney, Australia, in the Blue Mountains back in 1994. Then I've got a quote here explaining from, this is Baron Mackenzie talking, the Wollemi pine seedlings and saplings grow less than 1 centimeter a year. They won't mature until they can reach the rainforest canopy and access the sunlight above. This pine tree doesn't look like any other modern pine trees. It's got apple green foliage, and it grows in a fern-like pattern. You can kind of see it. It almost looks like palm trees up there in the upper canopy there. And so they don't recommend that people go to visit this in person because any kind of microbial exchange can threaten the well-being of these ancient trees. It seems like what's kept them safe has been their distance away from any habitated area, as well as lack of people tromping through. But even so, I still think this is a big win for having this kind of Lazarus species come back. So I'm excited about this. Any thoughts, Chris and Shane?
I mean, I have a thought just about trees in general, and that is that, well, I went for a hike a few days ago. I have never seen so many trees that are split. Like they start up as one tree and then they're split into 2 trees. And I started to take pictures of them. I'm like, there's a split tree, there's a split tree there. Like I've never noticed that before. And then a lot of trees too, where there's no branches. There's no branches until all the way at the top of the tree. And then it's like a series of branches. And I've never, so to me, these are all Mandela effects. Like we're in definitely some kind of a new, different timeline. And that the trees are revealing that to us. So if anyone else goes for a hike or something and they're noticing that trees look different, especially the whole split concept, or that there's literally no branches, 90% of the tree, and then all the branches are at the top, like, please, let me know, because for me, it's definitely real.
Yeah, you can reach us at team@imec.world. That's imec.world. And if you've got photos, send them. And it seems like this is symbolic too, Chris, because when we think about the fact that everything's a dream, a tree splitting, that sounds like 2 different worlds, 2 different realities, right? And then like you were talking about pruning timelines and so forth, I like to do that too. And if you think about what a tree symbolizes when it gets to the top canopy and then all the branches come out. That's like a quantum jumping tree. It's kind of skipping a whole bunch of possibilities. Like, let's not go there. Let's just make the jump to the fifth world, to Shambhala, to the golden age, and be there. So that's what comes to, I love that.
And I love the idea of the fact that, they're all networked together through the root system, and just to have this more ancient tree with ancient knowledge, just mixed in with the network. I don't know. I see it as a positive, definitely.
Oh, for sure. And let's go to the next slide. We have two sponsors. I tried to give it to one, but we got one from the plant kingdom and one from the animal kingdom. These are, as you might guess, fried egg jellyfish. And they're apparently a couple of different species are here. There's the Physelophora. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it badly, but Compsognathtica. Oh my gosh, on the left. And then on the right, we've got the Cotyloryza tuberculata. So what this is really interesting is I've never heard of a jellyfish that looks like the fried egg, and to have two species that both are called fried egg jellyfish, this is remarkable. I mean, who knew? To me, it's new. To me, this is a Mandela effect. And then the other words on the slide here talk about the way jellyfish move. They drift, they pulse. They have lots of appendages that contain mouth-arm openings used to trap their prey so they can feed. Their primary food sources of the fried egg jellyfish would be zooplankton and other jellyfish. Thoughts on this? Start with you, Shane. Anything?
I think the one on the right looks more like, sprinkles. Breakfast. But I think you had another interesting jellyfish you were talking about, Chris.
Oh, well, there's another type. It's actually called the Spanish dancer sea slug. It looks like bacon. Bacon. So you got the fried egg jellyfish with a side of your sea bacon. Yeah. The thing is, it's like these fried eggs jellyfish, the one on the right, they're not that they're rare. Like, they're found in all different oceans, including the Atlantic Ocean. So it's not like, oh, someone spotted this one thing in this one part of the world where it's never seen anymore. These fried egg jellyfishes are somewhat common. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The fried egg.
Right, totally. Hey, I wanted to shout out Paul. Conscious Watch just gave us a $50 sticker.
Woo!
I appreciate it. Thank you for the super sticker, Paul.
Thank you so much.
Lots of love. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that reminds me, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. So thank you for your support. And every dollar you spend, donate to us. We don't use it on ourselves. We put it right back into the next event that we're putting together right now, as well as these shows that we bring to you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this fried egg? Otherwise, we can go right to the mailbag.
Yeah.
Next slide. Yeah, we do have a question. So let's go to the question. This came in from the Iron Shaman. He says, the question is, have you noticed over the last few years that in grocery stores, malls, and corporate stores are always playing 1980s music, except with programmed, not good frequencies in it? So anybody notice that? Shane and Chris.
I have noticed 80s stuff seeming to trend again, like not just music, but like clothing and all sorts of things seem to kind of be cycling around from the 80s, different styles and things like that. So I don't know so much about, I don't know if he's referring to the 440, 432 hertz music change, but I don't think that, I think, people that think that happened, it happened way before the 80s. So it had already occurred if you're talking about the 432, 440 hertz change. Other than that, I don't know if you mean they're adding in something extra. I don't know about that or anything.
Yeah, and I would say, frequency is the most important thing. So why wouldn't the global narrative try to send us 5G or 6G frequencies that aren't healthy for us, encoded into music that we might like, hey, I like this song, but it doesn't feel so good, but I used to like it. Mm-hmm. And there could be reasons to I remember because I was getting into wireless technology, cell tower technology. They could have chosen frequencies like 528 hertz and so forth to for cell phones to operate at. And
Right.
they didn't, you know, because the FCC has certain of these frequencies that are banned for like their government frequencies, and they're not allowed to be used for private firms. So yeah, so everything is frequencies. And for people that are one of our Patreons that watch the Green Room, they'll see how we talk about this phenomena called the jellyfish UFO phenomena, which I had never heard of before, but jellyfish UFOs have been a thing since like 2011, at least. There's been like videos of them. So, and then one of the hypotheses that I talked about had to do with like frequencies and how these things could be sending out frequencies. We don't know what they are, but it's very, very interesting. But yeah, everything is frequency. So, and it seems like there's always things to harm us. Like, do we need our internet access to be 5 seconds faster? You know, do we need to have that 5G technology? It just doesn't make any sense. So,
yeah, it's a great question. And I haven't noticed anything personally, but I agree with what Chris and Shane are saying. The frequencies do matter, and that does seem like the key here. But maybe you're also thinking that some of the frequencies that you're referring to might be the message content as well. And if that's the case, this whole planet has been contested, you know, sort of a battle zone, I think, for a long time. And with our discernment and our focus on sanity and practicality and what's truly good, we have the power to turn this around. So even if we do notice things that seem a bit off, we can be the change that we wish to see in the world and start exerting influence. We know reality can shift. We know Mandela effects are real. So we have a big say in what's unfolding. And if it seems a little bit like a battle zone, like the changes that we talked about today with Brian Staveley's videos, the 9/11 videos, the World War II videos, JFK, some of these timeline battles seem like they're quite obvious. And if we're noticing it in the music, and you know, this could be another area of influence, but we can have a big role to play in that too.
Absolutely.
So let's go to the next slide and see. I think this is a shout out and a thank you. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. All of our Patreons. We couldn't do this without you. So starting with a gold level, over 1 year of support, we've got Jason. Can anyone read these names? It's so small. Hang on, maybe I'll put my glasses on. Oh, thank you. Yes, Jason Ram, Jody, Colleen Learley, Stephanie Clay, James, JD Peterson, Paul Ellis, Bo Kim, special shout out, Allison Eastman, Gail Brown, Teresa Richards, Belinda Anders, Lori Glazner, and Ariana Elise. We currently do not have any silver level category that would be in the 6 months zone, but we will at some point. Right now, we've got newcomers at the bronze level, and that includes JoJo Williams, Vit Hartman, Lisa Henderson, Laura Monson, Kathleen Wright, William, Sylvia Bondurant, Ann Gaynor, Lean Harlia, Andrew Christie, and Karen. So big shout out and thank you to everyone who's supporting us. And also thank you to all of you who just share the videos and like the videos and support us that way. That makes a big difference too. Just by liking, sharing, commenting, even just putting a comment, which may or may not be used as a question in the next show. We always read everything that you put there. So we thank you in advance for comments, sharing, and liking. And if you sign up as a Patreon, you'll have access to exclusive members-only content that shows up. We try to produce something each month. It's usually fairly short, but it's pithy and it's different and it's unique. And like Chris was suggesting, we get into some subjects that we maybe might not be able to cover fully on the YouTube channel. We might get canceled. So we do bring some of that stuff out there. And we thank you for all of the support. Anything anybody wants to add, Chris and Shane?
Just like to thank everybody for being here.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thank everyone. Yeah, all our patrons, everyone watching, everyone's giving us support. You know, we're all helping each other go and grow together.
Absolutely. Yes. A final congratulations to Brian Staveley.
Thank you, Brian, especially, and all of Brian's community. Thank you for coming out in such amazing support to nominate Brian and to nominate all of our nominees. Thank you for all of those. But Brian's community is huge, so special shout out and thank you to all of you. And next slide. I think we're going to wind this up. Yep, mark your calendars. We will be coming out with our next open tables March 20th, and that'll be an opportunity.
Is that the equinox, or is it on the 19th this year? It's going to be close.
It's on the 19th, it's on the 19th, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy because first it was 20 through the 22nd. Now we're back into the teens. Next thing you know, the 12th is going to be it. Who knows?
Yeah, Wednesday, March 20th. Please join us if you can, and if not, just watch the video later. And I think, is that it? Is that the last slide? Nope. Oh yeah, open it up for Q&A. Let's not forget.
Yeah, I did have one question.
Okay.
Let's see. It was from. Oh, did we have another? Let's see. Oh my bad. Let's see. Rose asked if we could do a virtual. Have we discussed if we're going to have a virtual option or for the conference this year? Or we'll definitely have videos after the fact like we did this year. We're not sure about the virtual at this point though yet.
Yeah, right? that creates a budgetary issue. So we'll see what kind of contributions we get. Patreon support. So it's another hint. We totally need your support now because this is the time we need to be able to make commitments to a video crew and to having that kind of opportunity available on the tech side. So anything you want to add to that, Chris?
Oh, I don't know if we said it or not, but I don't know if we're giving out the location yet, but I just wanted to mention that the location is a hotel that has the conference facilities right there.
Yes.
So in Connecticut, it was a little bit disjointed because a lot of people had to go to nearby hotels or Airbnbs. Yes. Now we're all going to be together.
This is the first time because even in 2019, we were a little bit scattered. So this will be really different and in a fun way. Yes.
Yeah, we reserved. Do you know how many rooms that we're asking for? It was like 100.
Jerry's working on the details. I don't remember the exact details. Do you remember, Shane? We're just pinning it down now.
70, about 70.
I think
Heather's telling me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sounds right.
Good block of rooms. So everyone that wants to come to, first come, first serve kind of a thing. So if those get sold out, you'd have to go to a neighboring hotel, but it's so much nicer when we're all there together.
Yeah, it's easier to have those conversations at breakfast and at dinner and everything. It's just really nice. Yeah,
exactly. You don't have to worry about getting in your car and driving someplace at night that you're not familiar with. Once you're on the facility, you're there. So.
Yeah.
Or if people fly in, they'll just be able to just get to the hotel and be set.
Yeah,
that helps. I have to rent a car and all of that. So.
Right. Good question. And you said there's another question, Shane?
That was the one about doing it virtually. Let's see if there's any other questions that popped up.
And we'll see what we can do on that.
Shout out to Teresa Lynch.
Yeah.
Hey, Teresa.
Oh, let's see. Oh, is that a question?
You're not old. 60 is young. We're now looking at 250.
Yeah, right.
Right. I love that.
You're a kid, Teresa.
Let's see. Speaking of music, have you heard the idea that music is satanic or evil? Not saying I agree with the statement, but I've heard it more times than one. Okay, I have heard that Lucifer was the angel of the music at one point in church, but it's actually Lucifer was before the fall, so I don't know that, at least in Christian circles, Lucifer became Satan, even though that's not really the case in others. So,
yeah. I can add to that because I talk about the concept of light language.
Yes.
There's also the concept of dark language, and I believe that some of these musicians that they may not even known to them, they could be channeling something, but sometimes there could be tones and things that they use that are sending out those codes that are more darker codes. So you always want to be discerning. Like with what you listen to, even if someone says that it's light language, you want to make sure that it's of the highest frequency of love and light. But yeah, so I believe that there could be something to that statement. And sometimes I've listened to, like, not saying all rappers are bad, but I've heard like certain types of rap music, and I'm like, that person actually has some dark language tones in what they're saying. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I would like to add to that the idea of music, like to kind of like say everything's satanic. I wouldn't agree with it. I would say there's good and bad in everything. So there's probably positive and negative of different degrees within music across the whole range, I would say.
Oh, because that question is the idea that music in general is satanic.
Right.
Oh, yeah. No, not all music. To dream the impossible dream. You march into hell for a heavenly cause. Yeah, some music I love. So yeah, I don't think it's not all music.
That's a good question, though. And
Yeah.
I agree with the fact that what you were saying, Shane, that it could be anything can be taken over by evil forces, but hopefully it's not always happening. And music can be uplifting too, like Chris is pointing out.
Absolutely. And I think it's that way with the internet, radio, TV, AI even. So keep that in mind with everybody sort of making it like it's all bad. It's not. It's making life so much easier for people in different ways. So it's all how you use it. It's a tool that can be used for light or darkness.
Yeah, and just like AI is what's generating the reality. So like a lot of people are like, they're just coming into the thinking about AI and like the negative part of it. But AI, the way I see it, AI has always been around us, and that's how the reality gets generated. So, and then the next step of that is sentience.
Different levels of AI, perhaps even.
Different levels.
High Vibe Tribe says Vanessa VA Mandela Effect channel talks about the consciousness level of the hearer of the music. The messages we get differ based on our vibration. I know that's been the truth for me with music and with Bible scriptures even. You might have this surface level understanding, and then you end up getting it's like an onion skin getting peeled, and you get a whole nother level. So I totally agree with that. I'm glad you
that affects what you're able to see too. People can be standing side by side. One person witnesses it, like Paula Harris was seeing a UFO. She grabbed the gentleman who also believes in UFOs, dragged him over to look out the window. He couldn't see it. And it's right there. It's like floating over the lake. It's like, look, do you see it? It's like this long cigar shaped thing. He's like, nope.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's vibratory frequency and this matches also what the physics experiments are showing us, that subjective reality is really the truth, that you can have two observers in the same place, same time, witnessing two totally different realities.
Absolutely.
So, scientifically proven. Yeah.
I think Shane, you said something too, just going back to the jellyfish UFO phenomena, one of them that was flying over a military base, that in the naked eye, you couldn't see it, but the cameras were picking it up. So,
and your orb video that we showed on this show, you couldn't see it with your naked eye, but the camera could see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's wild. That's cool.
Good questions, good observations. Well, if there aren't any more questions, anything else, then last chance to take a look, last chance to put something in for this month, February 2024. Otherwise, looks like we'll be closing this out, and I don't know that we have any other slides to show. If we do, put it up there, Heather. If not, I think that was the last slide.
Oh, let's see. James had a question.
Okay, one more question.
James Wood. Okay, since water has memory, is that why they make water towers into cell towers? Interesting. What's also interesting is that they use microwaves, and I don't know if you know the way microwaves cook is it tunes into the frequency of water and heats up the water inside whatever you're warming up in it. So it is interesting that they would have microwave towers on top of water towers,
Wow.
or nearby. So that's a good question. I would suppose they'd say, well, the tower's already there. It's no big deal to just add something on top of it. But yeah, there could be a whole nother hidden agenda there. Yeah. Makes you wonder.
I would say too, so water has a memory, and I believe too that water is fully programmable. It's like it's a substance that can be programmed. So yeah, isn't that interesting how the frequency of a cell tower might be programming that water for a certain reason? Yeah.
And I think it can be deprogrammed and reprogrammed too. That's why I think, any water I get in, I just reprogram it, put the highest intentions in it. We know it works from the work of Dr. Emoto and the rice experiments. So, setting your intentions into the water can definitely convert it.
And we can reverse engineer these cell tower transmissions by programming the water in the water towers as well.
Yeah.
So we can do that for our communities and just raise the vibe for the water tower. Then it's like a win-win-win.
Absolutely.
Love the question. Thanks, James.
Yeah, thanks, James.
So on that excellent note, I think it's time for us to just wish everybody a wonderful rest of the month. This is a leap month, so happy February 29th. And we'll see you again next month on March 20th, Wednesday, 2
Sounds
o'clock.
great.
And until then, together we
Together
go.
Go.
Together
we grow.
we grow.
Whoa.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Take care.